Hollywood's greatest twist isn't on the screen. It's in the DNA you never knew you had. Behind the gloss and glitter, some of the most powerful names in cinema and music hid secrets so explosive they would rewrite legacies. These are stories of hidden children, whispered paternity, and identities born in shadows. What if the man you thought was your father wasn't? What if your greatest role was kept secret, not by editors, but by blood itself? Stay with me, because what follows will blur the line between celebrity myth and human drama. And one of these stories nearly destroyed a legend's reputation overnight. The director's lost son, Otto Preminger, and Eric Lee. In the mid-1940s, during the golden age of Hollywood, a secret was born. The famed director Otto Preminger, known for pushing cinematic boundaries, fathered a child with burlesque icon Gypsy Rose Lee. But that child didn't grow up knowing his real father. Instead, he was raised under a different name, believing Alexander Kirkland was his dad. That child was Eric Lee Preminger, born as Eric Lee Kirkland. He didn't find out the truth until he was 17 years old, and even then, the revelation came through emotional tension, not a dramatic reveal. Eric once recalled asking his father for money to buy a car. Kirkland refused and insisted he was not his biological father. That moment cracked open the lie. Soon after, letters and secret encounters began. Otto had known Gypsy had given birth to Eric decades earlier, and he'd made a vow of silence. When Otto and Eric finally walked down Fifth Avenue together, Otto introduced Eric as his assistant until a stranger whispered, "That must be your son." That day, Otto formally asked to adopt him. For Eric, it meant forging a new identity in a world that had kept him in the dark. But even with the truth, the scars of secrecy lingered. What would it feel like to learn your life was edited retroactively? And how many other stories were buried deeper? The silent mystery baby. Minnie Driver's mystery father. Fast forward to the early 21st century. Minnie Driver, fresh from Oscar buzz and red carpet glamour, shocked Hollywood when she gave birth to a son. But instead of spotlight confessions, she offered silence. The tabloids went into overdrive. Which A-list father had slipped into the shadows? Names like Josh Brolin and producer Timothy J. Leah surfaced, but Minnie never confirmed. Rumors raged. DNA tests were speculated. She simply said that she entered motherhood knowingly, on her own terms. That decision turned the media frenzy into a dead end. No courtroom drama, no press tour confessions, just a monologue of self-possession. Her silence became the dominant storyline. In a town built on exposure, she chose obscurity. And yet, the questions remain. How do you claim your narrative when you refuse to fuel the fire? What power lies in refusing to bow to the paparazzi? The Secret Daughter. Clark Gable's unspoken legacy. In the 1930s, Hollywood was as much a fortress as it was a stage. Clark Gable, the rugged leading man, lived a public life of glamour and privilege. But privately, he fathered a child never acknowledged, Judy Lewis. Judy grew up believing she was adopted. Rumors swirled as many noted the eerie resemblance to Gable. But it was only on her wedding day, years later, that the whispers became truth. She confronted her mother, Loretta Young, who finally confirmed what many already suspected. Imagine living a life where your own father enters your home and you don't know it. That was Judy's reality. Her identity was split between fame and absence, between acknowledgement and erasure. Over time, she built her own path, separate from the shadow of Gable's name, but the emotional weight of being kept in the dark never left her. The Unexpected Heir, James Marsden's hidden chapter. James Marsden, the poster child for the all-American leading man, built his image on charm, romantic comedies, and clean narratives. So when news broke that he had fathered a child outside his known marriage, it felt like a twist in a studio script. For over a decade, his personal life seemed enviably stable. A marriage, children, public appearances, and then a secret romance with Brazilian model Rose Costa surfaced, culminating in pregnancy. The moment became a scandal, but Marsden didn't run. He faced it. He and Costa chose to co-parent, publicly owning the fallout. The affair, once whispered, became part of his biography. In a town where image means everything, Marsden risked everything for honesty. That choice revealed something most celebrity stories don't. Sometimes, transparency is the most radical act. The Disappearing Act. Benicio del Toro and Kimberly Stewart. At the intersection of rock royalty and cinematic danger lies one of Hollywood's quietest scandals. Benicio del Toro and Kimberly Stewart were never photographed together. They never gave interviews. And yet they share a daughter, Delilah Stewart. Kimberly, daughter of rocker Rod Stewart, was engaged to another man when the relationship with del Toro reportedly happened weeks so secretive, the public barely knew it existed. When Delilah was born, paternity rumors erupted. At first, representatives denied anything. Later, the truth surfaced. Del Toro was her father. But the media never got the full story. Even now, Delilah's origin feels like a whisper, not a headline. The two parents maintained distance, never publicly embracing the scandal. For Delilah, existence itself was the confirmation. The king's alleged hidden son, Brandon Howard and Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson's life was a mosaic of myth and mystery. Even after his passing, fans hunted for clues. Enter Brandon Howard, singer, performer, and alleged secret son. In 2014, TMZ reported that a DNA test showed a 99.99% match between Brandon and Michael. The internet exploded with speculation and memes. Brandon never loudly claimed the title, nor did he sue for rights. He simply said he never asked for any of that legendary estate. Still, resemblance, voice, moves. Fans saw shades of Jackson. The rumor mill became its own mythology. But the quietest voices often carry the deepest weight, the consent to exist on your own terms. And in that silence, a child becomes more than a headline. The Terminator's forgotten son, Arnold Schwarzenegger and Joseph Baena. No Hollywood secret was more explosive than the one that detonated inside the Schwarzenegger household. While Arnold Schwarzenegger was governing California and starring in action blockbusters, he carried a secret that would eventually break the mold. He had fathered a child, Joseph Baena, with the family's longtime housekeeper, Mildred Baena. The revelation came in a therapy session, of all places, when Arnold's then-wife discovered the affair. Joseph grew up in the same home, even unaware he was Arnold's son, until he was around 8 years old. The scandal nearly split the Schwarzenegger brand apart. But what emerges now is something unexpected. Joseph is forging his own path in acting, bodybuilding, and public life. The transition from secret to recognition is painful and public. Every secret lives on until it demands to be told. The hidden Jackson sister, Joanne Giovanni Jackson. The Jackson family was already a dynasty of sound and spectacle. But behind the glitter, a daughter grew, unseen. Joanne Giovanni Jackson was born from Joe Jackson's long affair with Cheryl Terrell, yet she was never brought into the spotlight. Excluded from Neverland tours, ignored in family photos, uninvited to recording sessions, yet she carried the same blood. As she grew older, she spoke out about the pain of rejection and the invisible walls built by fame. Her story forces us to ask, can fame isolate those it claims to include? In a family built on harmony, she sang her own lines. Conclusion. In a city built on image and illusion, these stories are reminders. Flesh and blood don't always respect footlights. Sometimes the greatest drama happens behind closed doors, in the spaces between applause and silence. We've walked through secret births, silent denials, and quiet truths so heavy they break public mythology. Which story shook you most? Which life deserves a second look? Tell me in the comments. And if you want a part 2 digging deeper into Hollywood's hidden children, I'll bring it. Because the most gripping stories are rarely shown on screen, they're lived out in the shadows.